When the Sun Shone by Evan Banawai. It was a pleasure to burn the memories of them and their happiness. I thought they would be gone forever. There was no reason for them to be remembered if it only brought her pain. Their faces, smiles, and laughs all deleted from her mind, forever erased. Chapter 1. I never wanted to leave my brothers, but my mom made me. I wanted to stay with them and help at the farm. Mom said, it is a privilege for you to go to Visitation Academy. I thought my mom had gone insane. Mom was a little paranoid after the Vietnam War started, even though the war was in Asia. I was not looking forward to going to Visitation Academy, the esteemed Catholic school for all girls. They seemed to cloister us from the world of boys. Boys are what I lived for. Well, not necessarily lived for, but that was the reason I gave my mom. It will be great. Just think of all the people you'll meet. That's the point, Mother. People are annoying, and frankly, I like to read better than interact with people. Mom won that argument and decided that I'm going to Visitation Academy due to her paranoia. I would leave for visitation at the end of the summer, which was 2 weeks away. I was about to go to my room when my brothers Will and James came with newspapers. It always amazed me how they got all the good looks, black hair, bright blue eyes, and a tall height. While still beautiful, I had black hair and brown eyes. How unoriginal. But what wasn't unoriginal was the information on the newspaper. The Civil War Times said that men might be needed to be recruited to the war in Vietnam. Good thing the boys were going to school this fall to become lawyers. This was a good occupation for them. They like to correct people and won't stop. They catch me cheating in Paracheesy, which I do a lot. I love to win even if I have to cheat. Chapter 2. The big black iron gates supported my argument of being cloistered. Seriously, what kind of school had iron gates? It was kind of a turnoff. It wasn't until I actually went in did I start to warm up to it. All the students and nuns walking on the campus gave me a sense of family. The courtyard was beautiful with its heavy-leaved trees and rocks. I could tell that I would easily fall in love with this place. The only problem was that I did not know who this esteemed God was. Sister Jane told me that I would learn about him in religion. She had a student named Emma show me around. Unlike Emma, I was tall and had strawberry blonde hair with brown eyes. She didn't talk much. She just pointed and said names of where people and places were. After 2 months at visitation, I finally fell into routine. Now God was a familiar figure. Life at visitation was simple until today's history class. Today we will be talking about today's problems. Can anyone tell me what is happening right now? Asked Sister Margaret. Global warming, said a student, which name was unknown to me. The whole class broke out laughing. Emma said, global warming, really? More like a war that has been going on for years now. The Vietnam War? My gosh, you can't even get a simple question right. Emma, no need to be rude, like you weren't thinking it. Even though I was, I would never say it out loud. Girls, back on track. Sister complained. She told us about the presidents that were involved in the war. Eisenhower, Kennedy, and Johnson. The only thing that caught my attention was the mention of the draft. What do you mean, draft? I asked nervously. Well, Adele, you see, the country needs more men to fight in the war, so they called a draft for men between 19 and 25 to come to serve if called. Is it mandatory? When will they leave? Will they come back? How does God let these things happen? She sent me to Mother Superior, the head nun. When I got to her office, I told her what happened. She said that's not why I was there. So I sat with her while she explained to me that my mom wrote a letter to me. She left the room to give me some time to read it. Dear Adele, I hope you're liking school. Sorry we haven't been able to visit. Things have been hectic back at home. I'm sure you know of the Vietnam War draft. Your brothers were called to war. They haven't left yet. They get one more week at home, so they would like to come to visitation to say goodbye. I'm sure they will come back from the war. They are strong men. I will do fine on my own. Don't worry about me. Pray for your brothers. Sincerely, your loving mother. Chapter 4. I didn't really process what the letter actually meant until I was called to the parlor and saw Will and James in their military uniforms speaking to Sister Jane. They got up when they saw me and walked over to hug me. I hugged them back. I started to speak frantically about school, Emma, and for some reason church. They laughed at the jokes I made about the nuns. When I ran out of things to say, an awkward silence began. It was broken when James asked, "Do you like our haircut? Pretty dashing, right?" I respond with what's on my mind. "Come back, will ya? Because it would be really inconvenient if you didn't." James laughs, but Will sits there staring at the floor. I ask what's wrong, and he responds, "Only that we're going to war and probably won't come back. Could you please close the door? Those girls are making me really uncomfortable." I was so caught up in talking that I didn't even notice that Emma and her little gang were talking about how my brothers looked good in their uniforms. I might have thrown up if they weren't sitting right there. When I came back from closing the door, James pronounced that they had to go or they would miss their train. When I heard the news, I was sad and angry. How come they had to leave? Now they just got here. Okay, guys, love you. Come back and try not to ruin your faces because that's what girls love. Am I right? I joked easily. Surprisingly, Will and James started to cry lightly. She sent me to Mother's. We love you too. There is no way I would ruin my face. It's my prized possession, Will said. James agreed. I hated the feeling of watching them walk out the door and leave. That is when I realized they could actually die in this war, and they just left me, maybe forever. Chapter 5. Months went by and Will and James were still at war. Months turned into years pretty quickly. After this time, I was a big girl at visitation. We wrote letters back and forth when they could. Dear Adele, war wasn't going so great, but we're safe. We were bombed in southern Vietnam. Some were injured, but we managed to escape. President Nixon has informed us that we might be able to go home in a few months, but that's not the best part. I've grown a beard. Well, not a full beard, but scruff. Pretty manly, right? P.S. Will couldn't write because he's getting his beard shaved. Sincerely, James Lincoln. I laughed at the part about them growing beards. I never really thought praying would do good, but it did, and I'm glad. With my luck, my words came back to taunt me. Chapter 6. The news made me feel like I was shot in the heart. They couldn't be. They said that they were going to come home, the letter read. Dear Lincoln family, we are sorry to inform you that Will and James have died in combat. We are very grateful for their sacrifice and bravery. We are sincerely sorry for your loss. Condolences, President Nixon. I wasn't not surprised when it had President Nixon's signature on it. The letter was probably pre-written, and they just added Will and James' names on it. They don't even have the dignity to actually write a sincere letter. The nuns held a prayer service in memory of my family. After months, my mom heard the news. She committed suicide. It was the day she was supposed to visit me. I was glad that she was with God, but I was also mad that she left me. I didn't kill myself. I'm still here. Not only am I alone, but I'm an orphan until I graduate from the school in May. When we graduated in May, the first place I went was home. I went to my old room to get a few things. Forcing myself, I went to Will and James and Mom's room to pick up their things. I started a fire and threw wood into the pit. After that came the pictures of Will and James and Mom. It was bittersweet to come to closure. It was a pleasure to burn. Epilogue. I never realized how much life was worth until I lost it. I regretted burning the pictures. I cried over them and visited their graves every year until it fell out of routine, until their faces were nothing but people from the past.